Imagine just for a second stepping off a plane into the bright, echoing halls of a major international airport. You've got your luggage, your plans, your whole life waiting for you outside those sliding doors. But when you get to the customs desk, a terrifying reality sets in. Your country, it no longer recognizes you. You officially belong nowhere. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're unpacking the intensely documented, true story of a man who found himself completely trapped in the bustling terminal of a modern airport. This isn't just a glitch in the system, it's a story of absolute bureaucratic paralysis, deep isolation, and honestly, the very foundation of human identity.
So what if your country just vanished? I mean, really think about what that actually means for your daily life. It's a pretty terrifying thought, isn't it? We completely rely on this invisible global system that categorizes every single one of us. But consider the sheer impossibility of this exact situation. You can't enter a new nation, but you're equally unable to go back to your own. You are literally caught in a legal void, suspended between borders in a space that's only meant for temporary passing.
Part 1. The ultimate transit trap.
Now, for most of us, this mind-bending scenario sounds exactly like a Hollywood script. But I promise you, this isn't fiction. This is the very real and frankly unbelievable true story of a man caught in a bureaucratic nightmare so profound that it totally defied international law and common sense. 18. Now, that's not 18 days, it's not 18 months. He spent a staggering 18 years trapped, literally living inside an airport terminal. Try to visualize that massive chunk of time. For nearly 2 decades, his entire existence consisted of eating airport food and watching millions upon millions of transient passengers rushing by to their gates, living their busy lives, all while he remained completely and utterly static.
Part 2. A journey interrupted.
So, how does a human being fall through the cracks of the modern world so completely? Well, let's go back to the year 1988. The man was Mehran Karimi Nasseri. According to the records, he was born in Iran and claimed he had become a refugee following political conflict there. His goal was pretty straightforward and honestly hopeful: travel to the United Kingdom and start a completely new life. In 1988, Nasseri was traveling through Europe, but somewhere along that journey, everything went wrong. The exact catastrophic moment happened when his vital travel documents just disappeared. By the time he physically arrived at Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, the die was already cast. Without those documents to prove who he was or where he even came from, French authorities officially denied him entry into France.
And this right here created an absolutely impossible legal stalemate. Because he lacked those vital documents, no other country would accept him either. It's like a giant unsolvable puzzle. He couldn't legally enter France, which meant he couldn't walk out the airport doors and step onto French soil. But on the flip side, he couldn't legally board another flight to leave because, well, you can't fly internationally without a passport. He was physically trapped in the terminal. The law had essentially frozen him in place.
Part 3. Life on a red bench.
As the heavy reality of his situation really set in, the airport itself transformed. It was no longer just a transit hub. It became his permanent home. Which really forces us to ask, how do you even survive when a public waiting area becomes your living room, your dining room, and your bedroom for years on end? The details of his daily routine are both fascinating and deeply grounding. He slept on a single red bench. He kept up his hygiene by washing in the public restrooms of the terminal. And to pass that immense, stretching amount of time, he spent his days reading daily newspapers and writing meticulously in his personal notebooks. Think about that crazy contrast for a moment. The quiet, tiny, repetitive world of one man, completely surrounded by the massive, chaotic energy of millions of travelers rushing past him every single day.
But you know, a profoundly human element actually emerged from all this bureaucratic coldness. The airport community didn't just ignore him. Airport employees, retail workers, doctors, and even regular passengers slowly got to know him. Doctors would check on his health, and workers brought him food. Eventually, they kind of adopted him into their unique ecosystem, affectionately gifting him a mysterious nickname that just stuck: Sir Alfred. Passengers would even stop to take photographs with the mysterious man who never ever left.
Part 4. The psychology of isolation. Of course, survival in an environment like that comes at a profound cost. Institutionalization takes a heavy, heavy toll on the human mind. When your entire universe shrinks down to the confines of a single building, your perception of reality and even of yourself begins to fundamentally alter. Years later, the bureaucratic gears finally turned. French authorities officially offered him the permission and the paperwork required to enter the country. He could finally leave, but here's the shocking turn of events. He refused. He flat out refused to leave his red bench. After living inside the airport for so long, the terminal had become his entire world. The very idea of the outside had become completely alien to him. The mystery of exactly why he stayed remains heavily debated in the source material. Some reports suggest he refused the paperwork because it contained a different version of his name. He felt it just didn't represent who he truly was anymore. Others firmly believe that years of profound isolation had simply fractured his identity, deeply affecting his mental state and permanently severing his connection to the outside world. He had truly become Sir Alfred of the terminal, and Mehran Karimi Nasseri, the traveler, well, he was lost to time.
Part 5. Hollywood versus reality. An isolated life this extraordinary definitely couldn't stay a secret forever. His story possessed a massive pop culture impact, catching the attention of filmmakers all over the globe. In 2004, Hollywood released a massive blockbuster film called The Terminal, starring Tom Hanks, which was directly inspired by Nasseri's extraordinary life. What is really fascinating is that millions of people sat in theaters and watched this fictionalized account, laughing and crying along with the character, completely without realizing that they were watching a story based on a real person who was, at that exact moment, still sitting on a bench in Charles de Gaulle Airport. But, as we're doing here, it's vital to separate the cinematic gloss from the heavy, complex reality of his actual lived experience on that red bench.
Part 6. The Final Departure.
Eventually, all journeys must come to an end, even those perfectly frozen in time. After nearly 18 years, an entire generation of time spent under the harsh fluorescent lights of a transit hub, Nasseri finally left the airport. His departure brought one of history's strangest legal and human dramas to a really poignant conclusion. As we summarize the profound tragedy of his situation, we are left with some stark realities. He was a man with no country, no passport, no home. His story forces us to realize just how completely reliant the modern world is on administration. A single missing piece of paper literally stripped a man of his country, his mobility, and his home, reducing his whole world to a single terminal, and the lingering hope that one day his journey would finally continue.
Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought. I want you to really think about this for a second. If your documents disappeared tomorrow, who would you be? If the papers that prove your name, your citizenship, and your fundamental rights simply vanished into thin air, how much of your identity would remain? It is a stark reminder of the extreme fragility of identity and citizenship in our modern, hyper-regulated world. Sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the ones that actually happened. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the world around you, and I will see you next time.